Greetings and salutations. In this video, I'm going to talk about Star Trek Beyond, the new 2006 movie by Paramount Pictures, official canon Kelvin universe as we're calling it. We used to call it the JJ universe, but now we know it's actually the Kelvin Timeline. So yeah, look, it took me a few days to go see the movie because I was going to go see it on the day it came out, but then some people screwed me around and I ended up not being able to see it the first day, and then I was going to see it on the weekend, and then got stood up again, and so I decided just to go see it myself. And then also, because I'm not super rich, I waited for what we call Half Price Tuesday or Tight Ass Tuesday in Australia. So yeah, I saw it on Tuesday, or Tuesday as they say, which is funny because, you know, remember that Star Trek Generations when installed on the Enterprise, everything was going to be on Tuesday. Anyway, so to the point, it's a fantastic movie. I had unfortunately spoiled it for myself a little bit because I couldn't stand to wait so long after it had come out, and I watched a lot of these other reviews that people had done, some of the spoiler reviews on YouTube, and a few people had a few negative things to say about the movie. But, and I, you know, sort of found out too much from the plot. Also, I have to say that these trailers that Paramount Pictures has released give far too much of the movie away. The first two trailers that were released didn't give too much away, and I didn't really know what was going to happen. But then by the time I'd watched all the trailers, yeah, I knew too much. But, you know, I'm hoping that you've already seen it. This is basically going to be a spoiler review. Okay, so this is a review for people who don't mind talking about the plot points and what happens. If you have or not seen it yet, you can stop watching it now and come back and watch the video after this review after you've watched it. All right. So spoilers will be from now on. But let me just say that I would give the movie as a review, like a reviewer, I would give this movie 9.5 warp cores out of 10 for excellency. Okay, all right, so that's the end of my non-spoilerish review. Now begins my spoilerish review. All right, so this is just amazing. What happens, basically, let me put it this way. Within the first 5-10 minutes of the movie, I was crying. Why was I crying? Because I believe in equal rights for humans. And the one thing about Star Trek that has always upset me for a very long time, for at least 17 years now. I mean, I've been a Trekkie for all my life, I'm 35 years old, and I've been watching it since I was a little boy. And, you know, I remember in 1987 watching Star Trek The Next Generation when it first came out on TV, and, you know, all that kind of stuff. But the one thing that always they never sort of showed was any gay people, any sexuality besides heterosexuality. And I know that, you know, it was produced in the 60s and then the 70s and the 80s and the 90s, and they couldn't show that stuff on TV, but they were supposed to be an innovator. You know, they could show the first interracial kiss between Kirk and Uhura, for example, but they just couldn't show, you know, a gay relationship. You know, other fan fictions had shown that, like there's the Star Trek Continues, New Voyages, Star Trek New Voyages episode, which was an actual script that was submitted for the Next Generation that, you know, the actual producers of the Next Generation cut out the gay parts. So in this movie, in the first 10 minutes, Kirk is talking about, you know, their long voyage they're in a 3-year voyage into space, and he's saying how, you know, people are hooking up, basically. And it first shows two girls and a guy, you know, so that looks like two lesbians or two girls who don't mind getting together in a threesome with a guy. But then the next few seconds, you see three guys walking together very closely. And so what that I immediately read from that was that it was in fact a three-way, you know, homosexual relationship. Maybe one of them was bisexual because he turned his head and looked at the other couple. They walked past each other. Maybe he was just checking out the guy that was in that couple. who knows? Maybe, you know, he liked all three of them, was thinking we should have a big orgy. That was very raunchy, but it was all very, you know, like totally natural. If you weren't sort of aware of things, like if you were a child, you wouldn't have noticed any of that subtext that I'm talking about right now. That immediately made me like shed a tear. I was like, oh my God, finally they're showing something like that. I mean, I guess, you know, the Next Generation had some guys in skirts, and there were certainly episodes where, you know, they talked about sexuality. Remember that one with Riker? But what Riker said in that episode really pissed me off, because he basically just said that relationships with humans were just between men and women. And so that really made me angry. And that was, you know, so it's really fantastic to see official Star Trek finally recognizing gay rights, finally recognizing that in the future there will be still gay people. Because, you know, the biggest problem with Star Trek is that in the past, right, is that it was like done in a way that religious people and backward people weren't offended. They would always try their hardest to not offend them. And, you know, I'd seen comments from people on YouTube and on Facebook recently saying that, no, they're going to cure being gay in the future. And that's why there was never any any gays in Star Trek. You know, stuff like that. That's just really, really extremely offensive. I'm sorry, but being gay is not a disease. It's not something that will be cured. Something that is just part of humanity. And in fact, if you talk to people who are gay, what we actually think is that everybody in the world is bisexual. A lot of us think that. I personally think that. I think that being straight is actually kind of a brainwashed thing that has happened because of the media and religions. And that everybody really, you know, given the chance, I mean, all you got to do, you know, given the chance would hook up with someone from the same sex as themselves. Same gender, I should say. Like, you just got to look at what happens in prisons to know that's true. You know, so anyway, it's really good. And then, of course, they made the character of Sulu gay. And you know what, now that we think about it, he was always gay. I mean, not just because the actor that he played him was gay, but because, like, in the was it Star Trek 6, right? When they showed him with his daughter, and that was in Generations. Anyway, we knew that he had a daughter, but they never ever spoke about who his partner was. They never said that it was a boy or a girl, or where he got his daughter from. Where, you know, Sulu always had a family, or not always, but at the end. But they never said, so it was always open to interpretation. And it's just that there was always like the subtext there, but they could never actually say it, whereas now they can actually finally show it. Apparently, I have heard that there was actually filmed a kiss between Sulu and his boyfriend. And I think his boyfriend was actually one of the directors or producers of the film, who played a part too. So obviously, you know, it seems like the people who produced this movie were more open to gay rights than the people who have produced previous movies now. Or directed, I should say, at least. Anyway, so I don't know if maybe J.J. Abrams himself might be a bit, you know, against gays because he's never showed it. He didn't take the opportunity to show that in the last two movies. Certainly, I've already been having some arguments with trolls on the internet who have, you know, saying they don't like this movie because of the fact that there's gays in it now. To those people, you're not a real Trekkie. You don't even understand what Star Trek is about. And like I've said, you know, the biggest flaw it had in the past was not being inclusive of all sexualities. Not properly. Although, you know, I was watching something recently, that show that was the little movie that was done by William Shatner about how the production of The Next Generation, I can't remember what it was called, but it's on Netflix now. And in it, actually, he said that, or somebody said that Gene Roddenberry actually did want there to be gays in a particular episode, but then, you know, the producers and stuff said, no, we can't do that. So I guess I had sort of actually thought that maybe Gene Roddenberry was a bit homophobic, certainly we knew he was a womanizer, and a lot of womanizers are homophobic. But so I guess he wasn't really. Certainly with showing men in dresses was, not that way. So anyway, look at this. This is awesome. I do have to say that one of the things that made me cry was, also I cried about a whole bunch of things when I was in tears half the time in the movie, and in awe the other half of the time in the movie. Anton died, and he was actually pretty much one of my favorite characters in the whole film. So every time I saw him, I was like feeling upset, just because knowing this is the last movie I'll ever see him in, or at least the last Star Trek movie. So yeah, that was quite gut-wrenching. And then the third thing that was, there's 4 things that were gut-wrenching. So then the third thing was the destruction of the Enterprise. Other reviewers have said that they didn't feel an attachment to the Enterprise, but it was amazing the way it was done. Maybe part of the crashing sequence and the way the saucer section lands on the planet kind of does reminisce back to Star Trek Generations, because that was very similar. But it was very sad to see the Enterprise die. I knew from watching all the trailers and everything that there was going to be an Enterprise A by the end of the film. So, spoiler alert there. I just wanted to show you this little thing from the behind the scenes that I caught. Look at that. That's not quite straight, is it? Anton, was he gay? I wonder. I did find out also recently that the character who plays Spock is gay. Sorry to go back to the gay thing again. I'll get over it. Just wanted to say those 2 little things, Anton and Spock, might have been gay. I don't know. Well, Spock is definitely, because I saw an interview the other day and he refers to his boyfriend very offhand. And I've seen some trolls comment about it as well. Anyway, what was so Spock dying? Oh yeah, that was the 4th thing that obviously was very gut-wrenching. I did shed a tear when the real Leonard Nimoy died, and they paid tribute to him throughout the film. And the new Spock sheds a tear, and he's very emotional in one particular scene. So that was just amazing. What else do I have to say about it? The bad guy, he turns out to be actually a human at the end who turned bad because he had some technology that was helping him absorb the life force from other people, and the reason he didn't look like a human at the beginning of the film was because he was absorbing the life force from other things. Another thing is with this girl here, they sort of said she was an antagonist, made her sound, in all the sort of previews and stuff, they make out like she's a bad guy, but actually she's a good guy. And what I have a feeling might happen is that she will be replacing Chekhov in the next film, perhaps. At the end of the film, they give her entrance, to Starfleet Academy. So, apparently she's a genius too, and maybe she'll fly through it in a year or 2, and then in the next film she'll be in there piloting the ship. Let's hope. So that'll be cool. At least, Plus, there's other people from the original series that were doing that role in the first season. Chekhov wasn't even there, so kind of fitting that he's not in all of them in a way, because he wasn't in all of the original series, if you know what I mean. This behind the scenes stuff is just amazing. Now, the film was quite a bit like Fast and the Furious. To be honest, okay, so now I'm going to say a few bad things. What wasn't fantastic, and the reason I'm not giving it a 10 out of 10, is because it was not actually directed by J.J. Abrams. He was just a producer in the back. He hardly did any work, to be honest. He was busy with Star Wars, wasn't he? This guy here, he was the producer. And he was Justin Lin, and he was the producer of Fast and the Furious. Now, I'm a big Fast and the Furious fan. You might know that. I have assumed that because I'm a big car enthusiast as well. One of my other channels is called JDM TRD Fans and Enthusiasts, or some Projects and Enthusiasts. All right, I recently changed the name of it. Anyway, it's linked to on my main channel. If you click onto my main channel, you'll see links to my other channels. And I've got a car channel, and I love cars, and I love car movies and videos about cars. One of my favorite channels on YouTube is Mighty Car Mods. You know, my favourite song right now is that Too Sexy song by Moog from Mighty Car Mods, which goes, "Too sexy, put your hands up and pull your pants down." If you haven't heard it, you got to go listen to it. It's fantastic. Anyway, yeah, it's really sad to see Anton in these. Look at the way they did things. Oh, it's just so amazing. The production quality of it was just unreal. Yeah, even better than the last two JJ films. It was just amazing, and at the end you get to see the Enterprise A being built in like a time-lapsed shot, and it gets built in space finally, and it's just amazing the way they did it. It's just so fantastic. Oh, the uniforms are just brilliant. I love it. They're a little bit like Enterprise and, you know, Star Trek Enterprise with Archer. They're a little bit like Next Generation, everything. It's a bit of everything all put together. The space station, that was just amazing. Apparently there was 50 new alien races, which was like just really obvious. There was so many everywhere, like, you know, different alien races, because this is the 50th anniversary of Star Trek this year, obviously, if you didn't realize that. And right now they're showing on this behind the scenes some of those alien races. That guy is funny as. Oh yeah, he helped save the crew, and they finally give him a name, but I keep I'm missing it. So anyway, I'm going to definitely go see the film again at the cinema. That's the guy who played Krill, the bad guy. Yeah, and by the end of the film, he actually does look human again, as he absorbs the life force from humans, and his DNA returns to being human. But unfortunately, he was still evil, and, you know, didn't regain his humanity, really. So another plot flaw, I would say, something that I'm critical of was, but at the same time loved, so it's a love-hate thing, is the Franklin. So the Franklin is an NX class starship, but I have actually, before you go correcting me, I have actually watched the video from the guy. There was an interview recently done on someone else's channel where they interview the person who designed that ship, and he said that he wasn't trying to copy the NX class ship, and that other people also then edited the ship and made it look more like that than he wanted it to initially, and all this kind of stuff. And the backstory that they invented for it, and of course I'm very aware of Macos because this is a Star Trek Online channel, and we've got Macos in that. And previously, of course, the Star Trek Enterprise show series is one of my favourites. You know, Voyager is also my favourite, and Next Generation is also my favourite. Deep Space Nine. But that doesn't mean I haven't. Right now, I'm actually rewatching Star Trek, the original series, as part of a, you know, way to keep me up to date on, to help me remind me once with making the Star Trek Online videos, which is currently also doing Agents of Yesterday thing, which is all about the original series into the new, and also has a Kelvin Universe and the new movies. So it's really fantastic the way now allowing Paramount the Star Trek Online game to show. To venture into this new Kelvin universe. They've already made a mission. I know I haven't done a review of it, but one after it. Coming very soon anyway, where I'll be doing a playthrough review of a mission in the Star Trek Online game, one of those Kelvin universe starships. They meet one of the characters from the Star Trek, the last two movies, the one that was the Cyborg 789, whatever his name is, I don't know. Yeah, I forgot. So, that's fantastic. Get that Star Trek Online is canon and approved by Paramount and CBS, and not a fan fiction, not a fan production. In the Star Trek Online game does relate to and fill in story plots, you know, for what has actually happened on the TV series and in the movie. So it's really great like that. I really love that Rihanna song. That is just fantastic. Absolutely love it. I have watched all these interviews, behind the scene things with all these different actors that are in it. This guy's from New Zealand. I really love that he was on, that JJ produced as well, called Almost Human. I think unfortunately they have cancelled it. I don't know seasons. And I think it had one or two. Fantastic show. It was like Blade Runner, you know, and he had an android. There's androids, they're like humans, and he's a cop, and he's got an android partner cop. And it's just a fantastic show. It did make me wonder why, though, why wasn't Bad Robot / J.J. Abrams given the task of producing the new Star Trek TV series that's coming out? It seems like a bit of a gap. I don't understand why they've given it to a different production company than that. Anyway, this video is about Star Trek Beyond, so I'm trying to stay on topic. So I'm not going to start ranting about the 2017 film TV series. All I want to say is that I can't wait for it. I'm really excited. I've been really excited since the day the news came out, and but I don't want to rant about the ship too much. But yeah, so I'm just really excited about this film. I can't wait to see it again at the cinemas. I want to see it several times and try to support the studio, make sure that they make enough profit from it. Can't wait to buy it on Blu-ray and all that kind of stuff, and get all the Blu-ray extras. I can't wait to see the deleted scenes. That's something they haven't released on YouTube yet, so that's going to be very excited. Definitely really looking forward to seeing the deleted scenes that are related to Sulu and his boyfriend, husband, and their child. But yeah, I hope with the next film, I hope this guy isn't going to be directing it. It's just him, the Justin Lin guy, because yeah, look, Fast and Furious, they've actually been getting worse as far as I'm concerned. The first few Fast and Furious movies were at the right pace, they had good story, and you could follow them, because Justin Lin wasn't the director as far as I know. Once he became the director, like, I have to rewatch Fast and Furious, the last couple of ones that he directed, like 10 times in a row sort of thing, to try to figure out just what's going on, because there's not enough dialogue, there's far too much action, and the same can be said of this Star Trek Beyond film. Apparently they cut out a lot of the dialogue, and the same thing's happened. I know it's a systemic problem that's happening with all sci-fi movies, even the JJ film, the last one he put out, the Star Wars, what was it called, Star Wars 7, Jedi something or other. Force Awakens, yeah. I went and saw that at the cinema, of course. But I was disappointed that they cut out too much of Princess Leia, that there wasn't enough story. And then at the same time, the diehard Star Wars fans said, it was too much like a Trek film, with too much dialogue, which is just not true. But it did have like the same kind of directing style as Star Trek 2009. Like there's the same sort of points in it, and, regarding, like, there's a part where there's a mystical part that fills in all the story plot and all that kind of thing. Yeah, so I wish JJ hadn't gone to Star Wars, to be honest. I mean, he did a really good film. I love the Star Wars film, but what I mean is I wish he hadn't neglected this film. I wish he had time to properly direct this one. I wish Justin Lin hadn't actually been the director of this film. It would have been even better. I know you might not like the fact I've said that. I mean, it's a really good action film. What I have to say about this film is that it's the best sci-fi action film of the year. It has absolutely amazing cinematography and special effects. It has the best special effects. It's better than the last Star Wars movie. It's better than any of the previous Star Trek movies by far. And it is as good or better than Interstellar. And they've sort of been inspired by that Interstellar film, which was a massive hit, in the way they've done the cinematography in space and everything. And it's just amazing. The space station that they've got, the Yorktown, that's just amazing. Although I do have to say, wasn't the Yorktown a starship? I certainly thought it was a starship. So that's a bit weird, but I understand why they chose to use that name, because it's like a big town in space, it's like a city in space. Yeah, what can I say? It was amazing. It's just friggin' amazing. Like, you just walk out of the film going, oh my god. Yeah. Half the time I had, like, it was jaw-dropping, literally jaw-dropping. I had my jaw to the ground. I was like, wow, like staring at the screen with my jaw to the ground going, just flipping out, saying, oh my god, I can't believe it. Wow, that looks amazing. I didn't want to, like, spoil the film for other people at the cinema by making noises, but I kept saying, wow, oh my god, and like when I saw the gay people in the film, I was like, oh my, finally, and then started crying and stuff. Then when I saw the scenes with Spock and him talking to the other Vulcan, I shed a tear. And then when he talks to Bones about it, I shed a tear. And then when he talks to Kirk at the end about it, shed another tear. It's just so sad. And then when he looks at the photo frame with the original, the whole tribute to the original cast that they put into the film, that was just amazing as well. And it's good that they chose to use one of the old photos from one of the very last movies they made, because you can suspend disbelief and let yourself think that that's what they will look like when they get older, even though we know they won't, because they're different humans. But yeah, I mean, what I hope for the next Star Trek film is that I hope that they sort of make it longer. What I don't like about all these films that are coming out at the moment is several things. They're ruining the plots with the trailers. So whoever is at these production companies that is doing the trailers, they need to be sacked. They need to stop ruining I know they want to get people to go see it, but what they don't understand is by showing too much of the film's plot, you're ruining the film to the point where now a whole bunch of people won't bother going seeing it. They'll go, I've seen the trailer, I know what's going to happen, and I'm going to wait for it to come out on Blu-ray, or wait for it to be on Netflix, or wait for it to be on TV. A lot of people will probably not go see the film because they just think, I know too much of what's going to happen. And that's a real shame. I wish I hadn't spoilt it for myself. I wish I'd gone to see it the day it came out. Fortunately, life transpired against me. But, them the breaks. What was the other thing I was going to say? Yeah, they don't go long enough. These are supposed to be epic films, especially like with that last Star Wars film, but definitely with this one too. They both should have been 3-hour films. Now, look, didn't Lord of the Rings sort of prove to everybody that epic films really need to go for 3 hours? I mean, people were able to sit through that. We don't all have really short attention spans. For it to be an action-packed film, you still need to have, I think, at least half the film be talking and plots. So if you want to have 2 hours of non-stop action, we need, an hour and a half of non-stop action. We need an hour and a half of talking dialogue to explain everything. All these cut scenes, why do they have to do it? Why don't they release a director's edition without the scenes that are cut out immediately after the film is finished being at the cinemas? Like when they do the Blu-ray release, they should be making it a double disc and having a director's cut. Like, I'm sad that like with Star Wars, we're probably going to have to wait 10 years before they release a director's edition, and as far as Star Trek goes, they've never ever released the director's cuts of any of the Star Trek films. Like, they remaster the Blu-ray discs and stuff, but they don't re-include the cut scenes re-edited into the film. Like, they'll give it to you as, the extra bonus material through the menu, but they don't give it to us as a full cohesive film the way the script was originally. And that's a really big pain, as a huge fan of this stuff. Look, put it this way, all I like in the world is sci-fi, and Star Trek is the best sci-fi in the world. As far as I'm concerned, Star Trek is our best hope for for humanity to survive beyond, the evil corruption that is currently destroying the world. It's the only thing that exists that shows humanity in the future not destroying itself. I know the last two films have kind of had the bad guy be humans, this one and Into Darkness, and so they're exploring that whole, for the first time ever in Star Trek, to be honest, they're exploring the whole there can be a bad guy, well, besides the original series. But since the Next Generation, Gene Roddenberry decided that humanity would have solved all its problems and there would no longer be conflict for humans, between humans. And that's why the bad guys have, since the Next Generation, have always been the alien races, which are, less evolved, and they're not utopian the way we are. So yeah, it's good that they're exploring that. This is something that helps humanity move forward and helps people learn. Personally, I think that there can be a lot to learn ethically about the world. You can learn ethics through Star Trek, through watching that. Gene Roddenberry always wrote his scripts to be like moral plays. That's what he said, and that's what everybody said about it. But yeah, I guess the thing that kind of there is the moral story in this film, but it's just quite. And they left it to the end though as well. Sort of, it was all action, 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 and then in the last 15 minutes, you know, they start sort of giving the moral questions there regarding good and bad and how a human could turn evil. So yeah, that's what I think about it. I know I probably sounded a bit ranty. I'm sorry about all that. And of course, all this footage here is copyrighted to people who own it, and you know, I'm just sort of showing it for review purposes. So hopefully, I don't get, you know, DCMA notice. Got the audio off for it, so it's just me talking about it. Obviously, this is a review. Yeah. So anyway, hope you enjoyed watching this video from the Tim of Borg show, brought to you by Unimatrix 01 Productions. Please stay tuned for more videos regarding Star Trek Online and Star Trek in general. Of course, I'll probably be doing reviews of the new Star Trek series when it comes out and things like that, and also fan fiction films and stuff. Yeah, so live long and prosper, Joel and True. Please subscribe to my videos, to my channel, share my video with your friends, and yeah, may the force be with you as well. Wrong universe. Alright, thanks for watching, guys. Till next time. Oops, trying to stop the recording. Alright, see you later. Hi again. Okay, look, the video that I uploaded got a copyright strike from Paramount India for one of the particular videos that I was showing, and so I had to unfortunately delete it and restart again. And I'm using Windows Movie Maker to create this review, and it wouldn't let me just cut out the part. It said in the copyright notice that it was just like a few minutes of the video that they weren't happy with, and then the video was barred from being shown worldwide. So isn't that great for Paramount to be stopping reviewers from creating positive reviews about their content? Anyway, never mind about that. I guess this gives me an opportunity to add some more points that I forgot to say. The NX class that's showing the Franklin does look like an NX class, and it doesn't really make sense. What I was trying to get to was that they should have just made it the NX from the Enterprise TV series. It would have been better if they had not even bothered to redesign, or maybe have it as like a slight retrofit to make it slightly more in line with the new Kelvin universe. But you know what I mean, like the engineering section should have been the same. They should have just called it, you know, a Starfleet NX. It said 326 or something or other like that. It should have just been the, you know, 300 and something NX class that was after Archer, saying that it was a Mako ship that was created at the same time that Archer was on the Enterprise. It doesn't make sense. If you watch Star Trek Enterprise, they reiterate in almost every second episode that there's only a couple of ships that Earth has made, and that there also was no such thing as a Warp 4 ship. It was basically Warp 2 prototype rockets and then straight to Warp 5, and the only other ships they made were freighters. And so yeah, they tried to say this was a freighter, but in what way does that look like a freighter? Where is there room in the ship for it to be a freighter? Well, there absolutely isn't. It doesn't make any sense whatsoever. Another thing I've always just wanted to say about the Kelvin universe is that everybody's carrying on that the ships are so much larger than the original movies. All I've got to say regarding that is that the original movies, you know, the original Enterprise was just ridiculously small. I mean, Kirk was saying there was 400 people on the ship, but there's no way the ship that small could fit. It looked like it could fit like 30 people on it. Hardly any windows. You know, it was only supposed to be you know, like 300 or 400 meters long, and most of it would have been filled with engineering stuff. You know, so also, that NX class starship, that the Franklin, again, there's no deflector dish. Have you noticed that? So it's kind of missing a key component to make it a starship. And also the bridge, as you can see in that photo, doesn't really look close enough to be in the bridge from the proper NX class. So bit of a few foresights, bit of gaffs, I mean. So that's a bit of a pity, isn't it? Too bad they couldn't sort of tie it in with Star Trek Enterprise a bit more. I don't know why they had to try to say it was, you know, make out like humanity, Makos, military, were making hundreds of their own starships on the side, that for some reason Archer and the whole crew never ever mentioned when they were always talking about them being the only people fighting the Xindi. Remember, they always were saying nobody else was helping them fight the Xindi. So yeah, I just wanted to add that little bit 2 cents there, and now this has given me an opportunity. Thanks for watching this episode. Please subscribe to my videos.